Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is mail. You're going to be excited to know there is just one definition for this verb. And its definition is to send a letter or package using the postal system. This is likely an action you have performed at some time. You should know that mail is a regular verb. To make the progressive tense, all we're going to do is add ing to form mailing. The past tense and participle form of this verb are made by adding ed. The base verb, mail, ends with this voiced L sound. So our ed is just going to make a D sound. Mailed, mailed. Now let's take a look at some phrasal verbs with mail. You should know the two that we're going to look at do not significantly change the meaning of mail. The first one is mail off. Its meaning is just like we looked at to send a letter or package using the postal system. Some people might say it's a bit redundant to include this off. Like, of course, that's the whole point of mailing something, is you're sending it off. So, as an example sentence, we could say, they mailed off their Christmas cards in early December, but it would mean the same thing if we just said, they mailed their Christmas cards in early December. You might hear native speakers tend to use this phrasal verb, though, which is why I pointed it out. The second phrasal verb, to mail out, means to send many copies of a letter, an advertisement, etc. by mail at one particular time. Here is an example of this. The company mailed out the special coupons to customers last week. So again, there were many copies sent at one time. Now we're going to take a moment and review how we form WH questions. So for some of the viewers here, I've had you in class and you've heard me call these more information questions. I do that because I like to distinguish between these questions and yes or no questions. The ones we're going to look at here, we cannot say yes or no to. But if we do, we're not going to make any sense. So to properly answer these questions, I'm going to have to provide something more than yes or no. Today, we're going to build these questions in the future tense using will. Generally, they're going to follow this structure. We're going to start with a question word, then we'll have will, then the subject, then the base verb. Now, there might be more words that come after the base verb to give context and additional meaning to the question, but it's possible with some verbs you can just stop with the verb. So we can build a number of different questions. I could start here with my question word what, then add will, pick a subject, they study. There's a question. What will they study? We could do, why will you wear a coat? Again, we're just following this normal pattern. Now, let's look at that pattern and use our verb of the day, mail. If you want to ask a question about location, you want to use the question word where. And then we're going to follow that same structure. Where will you mail that? Maybe this is a conversation and we're looking at a particular item. If you want to ask a question about time, and this could be a particular time of day, a day of the week, a date, right? We'll start with the word when, and then we'll follow that same pattern. When will he mail the birthday card? If we want to ask about the manner, the way in which something is done, we could say, how will they mail the Christmas gifts? If we want to ask for the reason a particular action will be done in the future, we'll use the question word why. Why will you mail the check? Why not just give it to them? We also have another category of question words. They're called determiners. So generally they're telling us what object is receiving an action. So we have the example, what will you mail to your parents? Right? So this is, again, asking us to list something, some type of object. The last two example questions break our normal pattern. The question word which is also a determiner. It's usually asking us to select among two or more things. So you're generally going to see some other descriptive noun right after which. So which present, and now we'll follow the same pattern. Will you mail? So will, subject, base verb. Questions about the person who is doing an action, or who in this case will do an action, will start with the question word who, but they break the pattern after that. So you're going to see will in the base verb. You're not going to see a stated subject because it's the question word who. So who will mail the payments? Now let's take a moment to look at some related words and a phrase with mail. The first word we're going to look at is the noun mail. The spelling is the same and the pronunciation is exactly the same. Now, this noun can have a couple different meanings, but they're really all interconnected. So one usage might be to refer to letters and packages that have been conveyed or delivered by the postal system. Here's an example of that usage. My mail has been full of bills lately. So I'm commenting on the types of letters I'm getting. Now, mail could also just refer to the entire postal system. Right? So if you heard someone say, it will arrive by mail, they're describing it's going to arrive by the postal system. Lastly, mail could just refer to a single delivery or collection of mail. So if somebody said, what was in the mail today, they're referencing that single delivery. Another related noun is the word mailer. It means a free advertising pamphlet, brochure, or catalog that's sent out by mail. Here's an example of this usage. Did you see the new ads in the latest newspaper mailer? The next word we're going to look at is also a noun. It's mail carrier. This is an employee of the post office or the postal service. Now, you may hear the other related nouns, mailman, mailwoman, postal carrier. All of these mean the same thing. I, of course, chose mail carrier because it's connected to our verb, and it would capture men or women. It's not specific to just one or the other. So here's an example of this noun in a sentence. My mail carrier always arrives before 1 p.m. The last thing we're going to take a look at is this phrase to mail something in. Now it sounds like maybe I'm sending it, but it has an alternate meaning. This is if someone is working or performing and they're really not giving much effort, or and possibly they're also not enthusiastic about it. So if someone is being described as mailing something in, this is not a compliment. Someone is suggesting they're not really trying very hard at whatever the task is. Sometimes you hear this used in connection to sports to either describe an individual athlete or perhaps even a team. If it seems like the team, again, isn't really trying. Some people will make comments like, do they even want to be here? That sort of feeling. And that's what you're going to see in my example sentence. The team seemed to mail it in last night. Were they even trying to win? Right? So that's that idea. Maybe they didn't run very hard after a ball or whatever the sport may be. This can apply to many. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.